Joining us now, former Deputy Attorney General of New York, Danya Perry. Good to have you. Okay, so Ivanka Trump testified. This was after a whirlwind week. You had Don Jr., you had Eric, you had Donald Trump, then you had Ivanka in the span of, over a weekend, but a week. Where does that leave the prosecution's case?
So the prosecution has rested. They are done, and there will now be a defense case. There may be a rebuttal case, remains to be seen, but they have rested, and according to the statement we just heard from Letitia James, they feel highly confident. They have reason to feel that way, given that the judge has largely ruled in their favor already.
How has the testimony affected, though, the prosecution's case? How has the arguing gone?
I was in the courtroom myself for Michael Cohen's testimony. I represent him, so I was present for that. And then, more out of curiosity than anything else, I came back for former President Trump's testimony. And it's hard to say. This is largely a document case, and we saw that with Ivanka Trump's testimony. They really didn't need to call her other than as a conduit to put in and to emphasize certain documents. The documents, as Letitia James just said in that little clip, the documents don't lie, and it's just going to be very hard for the remaining Trump defendants to run away from them. So I think the evidence came in well, but certainly there was some patchiness. We'll see what the defense is able to chip away at. They believe that the statements were not material and that the banks didn't care and that the banks were not victims. So that seems to be the focus of the defense in the coming week or so.
So what's your expectation for Don Jr., who's being called back to the stand as a defense witness?
He was a fairly benign witness on direct. So, there was a lot he didn't remember. There was even less that he knew. So it's hard to say. He really distanced himself from the financial statements. It does seem like he was a little bit further removed than his brother based on the documentary evidence. But he did put a lot of it on the accountants and said that really wasn't his business. So I'm sure he will try and perhaps they'll try and make an expert of him to some degree and say the banks didn't really care. They weren't really mindful of the financial statements, or something to that effect. But again, I don't think this is going to be bombshell testimony.
How do you think Judge Engoron is going to rule based on the lack of harm?
He's already ruled with respect to the first cause of action, which is a pattern of fraud. Correct. So it's hard to see the testimony that's come in so far changing his mind on that. It's really just a question of what the remedies are going to be, what the damages are going to be, although there are several other counts that he will have to decide. But those are really on the margins right now. So
the AG wants $250 million from the Trump Organization and for them to stop doing business. We'll see how the judge falls on that. Danya, thank you so much for joining us. It's really good to have you.